Today we're going to examine Overhaul's brand new form, which for the record looks completely normal, and we're especially looking at how powerful it is and just why it even exists. Just why. At this point in the series, you should know that Overhaul's base quirk allows him to disassemble and reassemble anything he touches. This is how he's literally been able to explode people with a single touch and then bring them back to life. Well, not everyone, but you get the idea. His control over things is so advanced that, as we saw, he reshaped an area that looked like this into one that looked like this. And he's such a great guy that he threw in some deadly spikes on top of all of that. So it's no surprise that given his level of power, he had another trick up his sleeve, with this new form having many advantages. Now this form is the result of him disassembling both himself and one of his fellow gang members, and then instantly reassembling them back into a combined entity. The most obvious advantage that we can see is that he now has 4 arms, each of which is capable of using his quirk. And for those of you wondering, the reason why he couldn't just create new arms for himself without fusing with someone is because Overhaul's quirk doesn't allow him to create matter, he can only rearrange and fuse things that already exist. And in addition to his 2 new arms, all the injuries that he had are immediately healed, because by making this fusion, he's essentially created a new person. So all the damage he took from both Mirio and Deku has just disappeared, which is basically cheating, but we'll have that discussion another time. And the third advantage of this form is that he can now use the quirk of the person that he's fused with. So because he fused with Nemoto, he can now use his confession quirk, which compels anyone who replies to him to tell the truth. And like I said, Overhaul can now use this confession quirk, albeit in a really weird way. It's kind of confusing to think about because in some way I guess Nemoto is still alive in there somewhere. I'd be really interested to see if that mouth on Overhaul's hand would be capable of disobeying him, or whether he can make it say whatever he wants. Either way, the only real drawback of this monster form is that Overhaul still feels the pain of being blown apart. So when he was destroying both himself and Nemoto, it was by no means a painless process. I reckon they would have much preferred the fusion dance if given the option. Now, Overhaul admitted that this is something he's never attempted before, and it's pretty clear the only reason he did it was because he was getting whooped by a bunch of high school kids. So essentially it's a last-ditch resort to kind of give him more firepower, as he can activate his quirk from multiple angles, which makes him super hard to fight against, as Nighteye sadly found out. But moving on, I'm going to quickly focus on the general look of this form. As we can see, the eye socket from Nemoto's mask is quite prominent on Overhaul's right hand. So it's clear that he didn't just fuse with the person, but also the clothes that that person was wearing. And I think this is further displayed by the black fabric from Nemoto's cape, which just seems to be like everywhere. Also worth pointing out that the bird mask that Overhaul always wears has now seemingly fused with his actual face. Yeah, everything about this is pretty gross. With that explained, I'm going to touch on something that hasn't yet been seen in the anime, so if you don't want to know any manga spoilers, then thank you for watching and please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. But for the rest of you who already know or don't really care, I want to briefly touch on the evolution of this form that we'll be seeing in the next episode. So Overhaul fuses again with another one of his expendables. This time it's Katsukame. But the thing that he creates this time around, it's really just a different ballgame. Just look at its spine. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it didn't look a little bit like a dinosaur. It has about 12 arms by my count, each of which are capable of using Overhaul's quirk. And these arms aren't just created from fusing with Katsukame, he's actually fusing with the rocks and stones that are surrounding him, which all kind of add to whatever the hell this is. And as you can see, Chisaki is just chilling in the mouth of this giant structure. Kinda reminds me of this guy. Now the main benefits of this form are pretty similar to the first one, like he regains his health and he can use his quirk with a ridiculous amount of arms. I guess the main difference is the size of this one is so much bigger, and he's combining himself with like the surrounding environment. And look at Katsukame's head at the top there, like is he still conscious or nah? But yeah guys, that's pretty much everything there is to know about Overhaul's 2 monster forms. I have a few videos planned for January, including a long Vigilantes one that I'm currently writing, and don't forget that we're having a Q&A with the voice actor for Mirio Tagata sometime in January, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. And if you haven't seen it already, be sure to check out my video where I talk about the 5 most likely courses of action now that Mirio is quirkless. Thanks again for watching, and peace out.